Imagine this. Every time an ad flashes before your eyes, on your screen, in your feed, during your favorite show, most of the time, your brain doesn't just see it, it feels it. But here's the catch. What makes those ads truly unforgettable isn't that they make sense. It's the exact opposite. They almost always ignore logic and dive into the deep, wild mess of irrationality. That's where they grab you, twist your emotions, and refuse to let go. Why? Because as much as anyone wants to believe that decisions, especially buying decisions, are made after careful thought, data, and rationale, no one actually buys that way. If you're a founder, a leader, a professional who's ever struggled to connect products or ideas with real people, you know this pain. You try to craft messages, rational arguments, proof points, and still, your message bounces off. People scroll past, they forget. It's like they're prisoners of their own distractions, numbed to a world overflowing with noise. They want to care, but can't. They want to respond, but don't. And that frustration, it's crushing. But here's the secret. The best marketers, the most groundbreaking founders, those rare leaders who top charts and shake industries, live by it every single day. Emotions trump logic. Stories beat facts. The irrational commands the rational. So the question isn't, why are most memorable ads irrational? But, when will your message finally stop trying to be reasonable and start being real? Let's be brutally honest. People don't buy products. They buy feelings, an instant spark of connection, a sudden surge of hope, fear, excitement, or curiosity. The rational brain justifies later. The moment you see an ad that triggers a tiny, wild part of your brain, the part that's messy and primal, the gates are open. You remember. You talk about it. You want it. You're hooked. And once you understand this mechanism, everything changes. But here's where most get it wrong. The problem isn't that ads are irrational. It's that 99% of what's out there is bland, safe, soulless noise disguised as logic or proof. It tries to convince, not captivate. It pleases the numbers, not the nerves. It's designed to check boxes, not challenge beliefs. And that's why the world can feel miserable and hollow despite endless promises of freedom and choice. The world sells comfort, but what people crave is release. A break from dullness, a break from rules, a break from the endless parade of mediocre and forgettable. If you're watching this and it stings, that's good. That means you're not here to play by the rules. You're here because you sense that the world's current path isn't enough. You're not satisfied with good enough. You know that to break the status quo, to really break through, you have to embrace the very thing everyone else fears: irrationality. The raw, wild, untamed power of human emotion. This power is your arsenal, your greatest competitive edge, but it's also your biggest risk, because using irrationality in advertising means stripping away control. It means dropping the safe language of spreadsheets and pivot tables and diving headfirst into what truly moves people: their dreams, their scars, their unspoken hunger. It's messy, it's unpredictable, it's authentic, and that makes it terrifying for those who want everything neat and labeled. Here's what's truly radical. The ads that stick with us, the ones that are burned into our memory, hit us where logic is weakest and feelings are strongest. They challenge consistency. They contradict expectations. They refuse to be boxed in neat little categories. Think about some of the most famous campaigns, the ones that get shared like wildfire. Where is the logic there? Often nowhere. But their emotional pulse? Explosive. Leaders, founders, investors out there struggle endlessly, trying to be reasonable, hoping to win through clarity and transparent messaging. But clarity isn't the goal. Impact is. Sometimes impact feels irrational because the simplest, clearest message doesn't disrupt the mind enough. It doesn't spark the neurons that crave novelty, surprise, and contradiction. Remember, the brain loves patterns, but it loves to be shocked out of them too. That jolt is the birth of memory. It's time to rethink how messages are built, not just through cold data or polished arguments, but through the heartbeat of human unpredictability. Get ready for this. The ads that will win you real, lasting attention aren't scripts written in boardrooms. They are moments that break patterns and embrace chaos. That smile, that shock, that confusion, that laughter or tears, these emotions create a deep neural imprint that no bullet point ever can. And here's the kicker. When you tap into irrationality, you aren't just selling a product. You're giving people permission to break free from their own mental prisons. You are daring them to feel something radical, different, real. And that is the very thing the system fears, because it wants everyone boxed in and predictable. You are setting fire to comfortable illusions and lighting a path toward liberation. You're not just marketing anymore. You're sparking transformation. To harness this power, though, requires fierce discipline, not reckless chaos. It means knowing exactly which irrational strings to pull. It means understanding your audience, their deep fears, desires, daydreams, not just their demographics or past purchases. It means being brutally honest about what your brand stands for, and having the raw courage to express it in a way that might confuse or repel some people, but magnetize others. Because this is not about appealing to everyone. It's about resonating so clearly and purely with a specific few that the impact is seismic. Think about it like this. No one remembers the most rational political speeches, but they remember the moments where leaders spoke with conviction that stirred something inside the crowd, not because every word was logical, but because the feeling of belonging, anger, hope, or defiance was undeniable. Same goes for ads. Stick straight facts into someone's face, you earn a glance. Tap into a swirling mess of emotion, and you own their minds. Here's a professional truth that often surprises. The most memorably irrational ads don't just play to emotion randomly. They manipulate cognitive biases, mental shortcuts, emotional triggers, and subconscious drives expertly. This takes study, insight, empathy, and creativity. You cannot fake it. If you try, people see through it, and it backfires horribly. So how to create ads that are almost irrational, but utterly unforgettable? Start with these ground rules. 1. Shock the comfortable. Break the predictable flow. Do not settle for polite nods. Aim to jolt. 2. Befriend contradictions. People are complex and contradictory creatures. Your messages should reflect that, not oversimplify. 3. Speak in stories, not bullet points. Real humans crave stories that twist, surprise, and reveal vulnerabilities. 4. Evoke one powerful feeling per ad, not a laundry list. Choose your emotional weapon and sharpen it. 5. Celebrate imperfection. Flawlessness breeds boredom, humanity, rawness, and humility spark connection. 6. Know your tribes, not your audience. Seek not shallow segments, but deep, meaningful identity groups. 7. Be fearless. If a clip is too weird, too offbeat, too weirdly stupid, that might mean you're on the right track. 8. Make people do mental work. The brain loves puzzles and mysteries. It anchors memory. 9. Loop back to why it matters to them, not you. Relevance beats cleverness every time. 10. Never forget the big why behind your brand and message. The irrational works when it's anchored by authenticity. When these rules combine, something magnificent happens. The ad becomes more than a fleeting distraction. It becomes a living virus, a story told late at night, passed in whispers, screamed on social feeds. It becomes part of culture. But beyond memory and culture, the emotional charge of irrational ads builds a foundation for something deeper. They create belonging. And in a world fractured by noise, isolation, and despair, belonging is the rarest currency. The ads that truly move the needle are those that rally people to feel seen, heard, and understood on a level that logic can't touch. For those bold enough to step outside the rules, to smash through comfortable strategies, to dare the edges rather than cling to the center, there lies not just success, but revolution. You become not just marketers, but architects of new realities. You become the rare few who forge connection where others scatter noise. And isn't that what every founder wants? To not just sell, but to spark change. To not just gather clients, but to build communities. To not just compete, but to lead transformation. To be remembered not just for what was said, but for what was felt deep inside the collective heart. Remember this: the world's systems try to cage every individual with rules, scripts, labels, and expectations. They want everyone neat and identical, predictable, and safe. But your strongest ally is the unpredictable human soul, the irrational core that defies conformity. The ads that wield this truth don't just market products. They shatter illusions, awaken fires, and invite people to embrace the wild freedom of being truly themselves. If the system fears one thing, it's that spark. And that spark needs leaders ready to wield it with both courage and care, blending art, science, and fierce empathy. If that's who you are, this is your moment. So stop apologizing for irrationality. Stop apologizing for emotion. Stop chasing the comfortable middle. Lean fully into the beautiful, terrifying chaos of human unpredictability. Because when you do, your message stops being just another whisper and starts being a roar, a force that cannot be ignored, forgotten, or silenced. This is not the future of ads. It's the future of connection, liberation, and human magic. And it's waiting for those who dare to make irrational the new rational. The few who reject waiting, reject mediocrity, and refuse to live a borrowed life. Let that sink in. Let that burn. Let that fuel your next choice. Now go be the spark the world desperately needs.